Wow, okay. 2 full years. It's hard to wrap my head around it. 2 full years have flown by since I rented a U-Haul and drove from California to Seattle to start a brand new life here. It's just crazy how fast time flies. So how's it going so far? Well, people ask me questions about it. I ask myself questions about it. In fact, I thought it'd be a good idea to ask myself a bunch of questions about it, literally asking myself. So let's take it from there. I'd like to introduce Interrogative James. Thanks, just James is fine. Okay, but that might make the script trickier to write. Let's just proceed. Got it. Well, you're the interviewer, ask away. All right, well, I imagine this is the most popular question, but how do you like living in Seattle? Tough to answer. I don't hate it, but I'm not particularly in love with it. It's serviceable at the moment. No place you'd rather be? Well, I enjoyed the Bay Area quite a lot. Why not move back? Now that is possible, although the life I left behind, that doesn't exist anymore. In fact, even when I left, that life was mostly gone. I don't follow. Well, the things I enjoyed were no longer around. Such as? My family left the state, so I couldn't go home for the holidays, or I couldn't drive there for the holidays. My brother's family also left the state too, so fewer people to visit. My neighbors that I had gone to porch parties and we used to hang out, and even one had a band who'd play a guitar and stuff like that, all gone. In fact, every single neighbor that lived around me had moved away from the area. And the new ones were nice, but they weren't quite as sociable. So everything just kind of changed. Got it. And a lot of the places that I used to perform at were closed or just totally different. There was that church in Castro Valley where I used to do Christmas shows and summer shows and Easter shows. That was a lot of fun, and a big part of me liking the Bay Area. Well, a new pastor came in and just blew all that up and closed everything down, so that was taken away, so that changed. And then there was the living situation. What was that like? Not bad, but quite involved, mainly because I had to keep 2 or 3 roommates around just so I can keep the rental costs from getting too out of hand. It was kind of expensive over the years. But always having to replace a roommate every 4 months, that was just so tiring. And a risk every time, because you might get a really bad roommate. Most of the time, almost all the time, I had roommates I could live with. And some were really good, but it was just that was such a huge pain every 3 months and dealing with that. I think on average it's every 3 months. I probably had 40 roommates, so that was kind of trying. And yeah, you never really got privacy the same way. Now, I didn't mind. I liked having people in the house, and it's just kind of nice never being totally... The solitude was never 100%. One roommate was at home just all the time, never left the house pretty much. But on the other hand, yeah, and then dealing with utilities and trying to split that up, and I kind of let myself obsess about, how much water was being used, and electricity and stuff like that. So all that is nice not to have to deal with anymore. Anyway, moot point, because the house is gone now anyway. It burned down. No, what I mean is the opportunity is gone. I can't live there even if I wanted to, which I don't want to, because I'd probably end up spending another decade there if I did. So it was good to get out. Could you buy a place? I could if I pooled all my money together in my finances. I could find a place out there, but I really wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to go that deep on just a very overinflated housing market. It's just too much to fathom, so I wouldn't do that. It's just simply not worth it. I mean, the weather is good, but that's about it. Dinner theater, though. Yes, the dinner theater. That was one big thing that still was around. I no longer own the company, but I did shows when they came up. There weren't as many gigs to do, but I also figured if I moved to Seattle, I can just fly down when there's an opportunity to perform, and I've done that pretty much half a dozen times now, if not more. So I have actually been true to that quest. And it is nice to fly down and then do a show and hang out, small vacation, go running on the old jogging trails that I used to go on. Is that enough to return? It almost is. It's just still too much money to invest in a home. So you'd rent? Yeah, I guess I probably would. But again, it really just depends on a really good job opportunity. I think that's what it would take for me to return. Right. Well, let's talk about Seattle. You don't love it, but you don't hate it either. Now, many people do love it, so why not you? Is it the weather? Actually, no, I don't mind the weather that much. In fact, when it goes too long without rain, you kind of miss it. You kind of want the rain to return. It is cloudy quite a lot, but it usually doesn't snow very much, sometimes a tiny bit. So that part's not too bad. And there are very, very nice summers. When the weather is like mid-70s, it's just the best place in the world to live. I actually visited close to 40 times before I even moved here. So I was here in almost every month. I knew the weather, I knew what to expect, what it was like. So it wasn't like I was just going to something totally blind. That being said, I would still prefer California weather, Bay Area weather over Seattle weather. It was perfect. I mean, it was just the perfect amount of days, and in the summer you could have some 75 to 85, or if it's like 95 or 100, I can go out jogging. That is odd. It is odd. What else? The people. The people are fine. Maybe a little bit on the standoffish side, I guess, and that could just be big city, but I don't find a lot of that, like the whole, you're evil because you're a Caucasian male going around. It exists, but it's not as bad as one would expect. Although maybe it's where I'm hanging out and going. I don't know. But in general, the people are pretty nice. I've just had almost no issues in 2 years here, so that says something. On the crime, I think it's like any other big city. Maybe not so bad as some, but it exists, and it can be concerning. Drive-by shooting in front of the condo last year. Really? Yep, they even got it on the security camera. It was like straight out of Compton. Never been. Probably good weather. But there was a murder at the nearby train station, there was a murder at a gas station, and there was a murder about 4 blocks down the street. You live in a bad part of town. Actually, a very nice part of town. It's just connected, I mean, eventually to some parts of town that aren't so nice. So there's no gates, there's nothing to stop people from coming to this part of town. So, that cross traffic, people just come in and I guess sometimes murder people. It's just an inherent risk, really, no matter where you live, unless you have gates. Homelessness. Yes, that is a pretty big issue here. And I always try to remind myself that, it's homelessness is the problem, not homeless people. It's just most people did not make a choice to become that way. They just kind of fell into that situation for one reason or another. It could have been bad decisions, yes, but it also could have been someone that just lost their job and couldn't afford to pay rent after long, and then there was no other way, no family to go to, and ended up being homeless. But it's a city that doesn't handle it well. It's just too much like anarchy. And they often won't protect the businesses, they won't protect the taxpayers. People can sometimes put up tents in poor places that kind of hurt business. Or just people lying in front of doorways that shouldn't be there. It's just the city's fault on a lot of this stuff, and I think they worry about public image, so they don't want to do anything at all, but that's really not fair to the people that actually pay taxes. I mean, you do got people that are like doing crack or whatever, the fentanyl, all that stuff right in front of stores, and people want to feel safe when they go in and out, and I think a lot of people don't, so they stop going to that business, and chain reactions. That part is really frustrating to watch. Makes sense. I mean, does it affect me all that much? Not particularly. I mean, I don't mind going to the stores and just watching it off the side, and I can tell people kind of back off or ignore them, so that's fine. And you really can't leave anything in your car at all, I mean, ever, but I wouldn't do that probably in any big city in the entire world. It's just not good business sense. Other issues? It is expensive. That is one thing, going to the dentist, whatever. And again, might be a big city thing, I don't know, but some things just seem expensive. Car registration seemed overly expensive, as bad as California. Gas prices are as bad as California. My HOA is crazy, but I guess that's not really a Seattle thing, that's just a, owning a condo type thing. So some things are bad, and other things not so much, but what can you do? Oh, I have noticed that the light rail to the city airport is also very, very expensive, but they do provide a train so you can get down there, just don't get murdered at the train station. You must enjoy some things about living here. Indeed, yes. Well, I do like being able to walk downtown. It's about a 30-40 minute walk, but I can go to the Space Needle, I could go to Pike Place, I could go to the markets, I can go to the library, museum. So there's a lot of stuff within walking distance. And again, when it's nice weather, it's just a very, very enjoyable walk. Down to the water line. There's just a lot of places you can go if you walk, or take a bike, or take a scooter, or take Uber, or take the bus. Yeah, there's just many, many ways to get downtown. But walking's one of my favorite. What walking's my favorite. And there's even the stadium, which you can't enter. Anyway, there's the Arboretum is close by. I can go there. Volunteer Park is close by. I can go there. A lot of cool places to go jogging and running. So I like all that. And if the weather's really good, got a good sunset, I can send up the drone and get a nice view of the Seattle skyline. Sounds wonderful. Well, hiking's abundant here. There's just hundreds of trails, great waterfalls to see, all sorts of stuff. I do like the nature scene here. It is just perfect. How often do you do that? A whole bunch in 2023. Very, very little in 2024, and I think it's mainly because my friends that go hiking, they really weren't doing as many hikes this year. Last year we had some goals, and this year people are pretty busy, so that's one thing. Not many hikes this year. Another benefit is proximity to friends. Oh yeah. Best friends are one city over, so I can go visit on weekends or whatever, or even weeknights. So that just makes things really nice. I can crash there, I can just come back here. Very quick drive. I think I'd say it's even quicker than maybe Oakland and San Francisco, the distances there, just across the water. That's a nice thing. And that would actually be the toughest part about leaving is, I wouldn't be able to hang out with their friends as much. I'd have to take plane flights to hang out with them once again. Now with this milestone, there's a big chance for change? There is, yeah. At the 2-year mark, that means selling the condo, I wouldn't have all the property taxes to pay, or the taxes on the sale. I mean, I have some maybe, but you get a clearance of like $250,000 if you lived there the past 2 out of 5 years. And that also means I don't have to sell right away, as long as I don't let 5 years expire, of course. So that just gives me a lot more freedom and flexibility to do other things. Going to sell? Unclear, I just have the option to now. And where would you move to? Not sure. Well, what are possible options? Well, like I said, the Bay Area isn't ruled out entirely. It also could be Florida, because the home prices are really nice out there and the weather is, well, very nice except for hurricanes, but there's opportunities. And same thing with Idaho. You can get a nice home for the money, a big yard. So those are things I really care about or would like to have. Not enjoying the condo life? It's easy to maintain, but I miss the quietness of not having, neighbors on the other side of the walls. Sound is a problem. Well, they are pretty thin, so I do hear like snoring at times, I hear music at times, things like barking dogs, I hear that. As far as the area of the city, I hear planes going over the head all the time, sirens day and night, so there's that. But I do have AirPods, and that helps me out a lot. That gets me through the night. And I would myself like to be able to sing karaoke full volume, or maybe do some tap dancing or something like that, or swing dancing, but I have to be conscientious of the neighbors like around me and below me especially. It's funny, there's a plane flying right now. But yeah, I do have to be careful not to put out too much noise for anything I do, even this. I can see that. And I miss having a garage where I can work on my car or the hobbies, the weight set, all the things I did, the studio I built in there, the 3D printing I did in there, everything. But yeah, like parking the car in there, which I really never did. But if I want to work on it or do things, that was a really, really huge benefit. And as I said, the garden would be a big thing. I would love to be able to plant things and trees and watch them grow, and just like care for it and not have to abandon it over time like I did in California. So you put a lot of work into it, but if you have to leave, then that really sucks, because all that work has been for nothing except for the time you were there. Any other places that could be home? Yeah, I don't know. I mean, New York, I guess, is kind of a possibility. I'm not sure how close to Manhattan I could be, or in Manhattan, but that would be an entirely different lifestyle there. It's a possibility. If overseas, I'm not against that. If a job offer came along, I would probably take it, especially London, but that's pretty unlikely. So the 2-year milestone is crossed. What's the current plan? Well, I should be closing on my Texas home in about 2 weeks, and since I'm not doing a 1031, then I'm free to not be in a hurry with the money. 1031? It's too complicated to explain, just look it up. No. Anyway, yeah, I'll start the search for a new home and then see where that takes me. As far as the Seattle condo, I could keep it, I could sell it, rent it out again. No real decision has been made there. It's just, once I leave, I guess, I know I'd probably never live in Seattle again, so that's something I have to think about. I really couldn't come back, or wouldn't come back. I could, but I probably wouldn't. But you had at least 2 years. Do you regret this choice? Not at all. It was highly needed. I'm glad I did it, and if I didn't get out of there 2 years ago, I'd probably still be there today, or if I hadn't bought the condo in Seattle, I guess I probably would still be there today. So It's been an important change. I mean, I love Pleasanton, but at some point, nostalgia and complacency can arrest progress and development. Getting heavy now. But yeah, no regrets. It's been a fun adventure, and I don't know if it's over. One thing I could say is I didn't really commit too much to like put down roots or to invest too much of my time here because I don't know, things got busy. How so? Well, I just didn't join any theater groups or any activities. In fact, in 2023, I spent over half my time of the year traveling, so I just didn't invest myself enough in this area. You still can, and maybe I still will. I don't know, I just have to have goals in mind or what I want to do, otherwise another 10 years is going to pass. I don't even want another 2 years to pass unless I have good reason to stay. What's good reason? I'd say a solid job or a solid relationship. Those would be reasons where I would definitely think about staying. I see. Yes, that's understandable. I think so. Any other questions? I can't think of any. Any closing thoughts? Well, again, it's surreal that so much time has passed so quickly, but it's been good to kind of sit down and articulate my thoughts and analyze the situation. When is the next update? No idea. Maybe when something big happens. Hopefully before 10 years. Yes, indeed. Thank you for asking the questions. And thank you, viewers, if you made it this far. I guess that's all for now, so cheers. Probably should have me saying cheers. Nah.